So, you know those comment sections that just spiral out of control, especially when the topic is something new and complicated? Well, today we're going to break down this really clever metaphor that explains exactly what's going on. It's called cognitive slop stew. And check this out. The person who came up with this whole idea starts with this brilliant line. It just perfectly sets the scene, right? We're not in some clean, tidy debate club. Nope. We're in a messy, chaotic kitchen where something interesting is being cooked up. All right, so let's really get into what this metaphor means. We're not just talking about any old meal here. What's being served up is, well, let's be honest, it's a pretty gross dish that perfectly captures what so many online arguments feel like. So what exactly is cognitive slop stew? Think about it. It's that mess of half-baked arguments, knee-jerk emotional reactions, and just plain bad logic that you see everywhere online. You know exactly what I'm talking about. This isn't about having a real, constructive debate. It's just a chaotic mush of thinking that completely falls apart the second you look at it too closely.
And, like any stew, this one has a recipe. So let's pull out the cookbook and see what the 5 main ingredients are according to the author.
And this is where it gets really good. The recipe basically turns all those toxic online behaviors into cooking steps. So first, you start with a big helping of thick arrogance. Then you stir in some projection, where you accuse everyone else of doing what you're actually doing. After that, you sprinkle in some pseudo-intellectual spice, pour in a dash of panic flavor, and for the finishing touch, a little virtue garnish right on top to show how morally superior you are. Okay, let's take a closer look at just one of these ingredients, the pseudo-intellectual spice. This is my favorite. It's when someone throws around a fancy-sounding term, like a logical fallacy name like tu quoque, just to sound smart, but they clearly have no idea what it actually means. And the author points to this perfect example from a comment section. Someone accuses them of a fallacy and then, in the very next breath, demands that AI labs get shut down and their leaders apprehended. And they do all this while claiming they're just using critical thinking. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. Okay, so those are the ingredients on the surface. But what's really cooking underneath? What's the emotional stock that gives this stew its unique flavor? Well, the author says it has nothing to do with logic. It's all about the feelings bubbling just below.
And here's the breakdown. The stew is basically simmering in a pretty potent mix of emotions. You've got a whole lot of anger, a big dose of fear, usually of something new or misunderstood, and a healthy portion of insecurity. And that insecurity is key because it's what fuels that desperate need to sound like the smartest person in the room.
And that insecurity leads to this really important difference the author points out. See, the folks cooking up this stew, they aren't actually interested in the practice of being smart. The hard work that takes nuance and real thought. No, what they want is the performance of being smart. They want the noise, the shouting, the big, vague demands. It's all about looking smart, not actually being smart.
And of course, you have to think about the kitchen where this is all being cooked, the internet itself. The whole system is kind of set up for this, isn't it? It rewards that quick, angry comment, that little dopamine hit you get from firing something off, way more than it ever rewards slow, careful, thoughtful responses.
All right, so we've looked at the recipe, we've talked about the kitchen. What's the big takeaway? The author brings it all home by asking one really crucial question. Who's the actual chef here?
I mean, seriously, if this cognitive slop stew is on the menu in every corner of the internet, who's to blame? Is it the tech? The algorithm? The author thinks the answer is actually a lot simpler and maybe a little more uncomfortable. And here it is, the big reveal. The author's point is powerful and super direct. This whole mess, this cognitive slop stew, it wasn't made by AI. It's a human recipe. It's a problem we've always had. Technology is just showing it to us in high definition. So, to stick with the kitchen metaphor, AI and the algorithms, they're not the chefs. They didn't invent this dish. Think of them more like the microwave. They're just taking all our old pre-existing leftovers, our arrogance, our fear, our insecurity, and just reheating them and serving them up hot day after day. And that really leaves us with the big question at the heart of all this, right? When we see all this chaos online, are we looking at a problem that new technology created? Or is that technology just a giant, unflattering mirror, showing us a messy part of ourselves that was there the whole time?